Welcome to our 24 hours of UX, 24-hour long, non-stop local community event. We are still in our, let me have a look, in our 7, if I'm right. So yeah, we are in our 7, and I will bring our next community on stage, the ladies that UX Utrecht. So welcome to Anushka and Ruya. We already met before in a few other events and also collaborated on a meetup together. So that's possible in these online sessions now. I hope you're prepared for a global audience already. A little bit nervous, but I think I can't add anything that you couldn't mention yourself. So I will now, just hand over to Anushka. The stage is yours. You're now on stage, and let's listen to um, why and how of UX research for global audiences.
Thank you, Johannes. Well, first, I want to state that we're very happy to be here. It's a very professional, organized event. So, kudos for the organizers. Lots of kudos. So, ladies that UX, we're an open and welcoming community of women, ladies, in UX who support each other, push the UX boundaries, and promote skills and talents. Yeah, inclusive. So yeah, men are welcome too, definitely. But it started, ladies that UX. It's a global community. It started in 2013 when two ladies in UX had a need for a mentor and other women to talk about their careers. And these were hard to find back then, and still in some tech and design meetups. Where are the ladies in UX? So they founded Ladies That UX, and now it's spread in different countries all over the globe. 85 cities like Sao Paulo, Melbourne, Denver, Stockholm, Berlin, and also Tokyo. Tokyo is this year's organizer of our yearly Ladies That UX event, Talk UX. So take notice to that. We have two chapters in the Netherlands, Ladies That UX Amsterdam and Ladies That UX Utrecht. Ladies That UX Amsterdam is also providing for the very popular mentorship program. We're very proud that they organize that. Yeah, we organize meetups. And Ruya and I are co-leader of Ladies That UX Utrecht. Without further ado, I'll put some links in for the. You're very welcome to join us in a meetup. There's something like I hear something. Maybe Ria, I hear something shivering or some noise, perhaps. But okay. Well, Ria, I'm very proud and happy to announce Ria and give the stage to Ria. She's been part of our Ladies That UX Utrecht since a year now, and she's freelance UX researcher. She's been all around the world, in Austria and Belgium and US. So, well, she will provide us with very valuable and practical tips on how to approach different cultures in UX research. So, without further ado, Ruya, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Anushka, for the introduction and also the kind words. So today I'll talk to you about the why and how of UX research for global audiences. So I'm happy to kind of like be here and also kind of share with you something that I'm quite passionate about. So basically, I am Ruya Ince, and I'm as Anushka also introduced, I'm a freelance UX researcher. And in the past, I've worked with companies from the US, UK, and also serving multiple markets. And currently, I'm working with Adidas to improve their global products. But also, as I said, this is a passion of mine because I have moved around quite a lot in my life. In fact, I've lived in 7 countries and I speak 4.5 languages for now. So, this is Quint. Okay, so and that's why I kind of like to combine my passion for learning new languages and cultures with my passion for UX research. And that's why I'll be giving you some really practical tips about how to conduct user research for global products. So the topic of this session today, as I said, is why and how can we conduct user research for global audiences. So firstly, I will talk to you about why should we conduct localized user research if you are serving users from multiple markets. And second of all, I'll give you some practical tips on how to plan, conduct, and analyze localized user research for global products. And we will be having a Q&A after the session, so you can ask me all the questions you have in the chat. So let's start with a story of design in different cultures. Basically, when when Amazon first launched in 2008 in India, they had quite some issue with the culture there because they lacked the cultural insight to the Indian population and comprehensive user experience research. And one thing that they couldn't figure out was why rural Indians in particular weren't using one of the chief drivers for Amazon's revenue. They were not searching for products to buy on the homepage of their mobile website. So Amazon decided to look into this a bit closer. And it turns out for the Indian population in rural areas, magnifying glass wasn't something people associated with search. They thought, in fact, that it looked like a ping pong paddle. And this was also similar for carts. The shopping cart for most of the people meant nothing because they had never seen one in their lives. So Amazon came up with a solution to introduce some hinted text label so that people at least knew where it was that they could search. So how can we avoid such design fails and also the resulting financial loss when working with a product with a global user base? What can we do to better understand our users from different cultures and different cultural contexts using our products? So what we can do is localize our user research. And we talk about localization quite a lot. I'm sure you've heard of it before. Often about design, but not so much about user research. But we should not limit our user research to only the biggest market we serve to, or the culturally most dominant one, or even consider a country representative of a whole other breadth of cultures. For example, US for the Western world and China for Asia. When we do that, we are only involving a part of our users and ignoring all the others. So we need to really delve into research and really understand the cultural context and norms that surround the use of our
Ruya,
global products. Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. We have a background sound at your place. I don't know if there's someone in the background
No,
doing something.
no,
Just
actually.
wanted to let you know. So if you can check.
Okay, let me just check, but I think it should be fine.
Okay, should work. So I don't hear it anymore. Should work now.
Okay,
Okay.
now is it good?
Yeah, works on
Okay,
my side as well. Maybe someone can let us know if there is still something in the background, and I will let you know. So
okay,
move along. Sorry for interrupting you.
no
I am
problem.
back off stage.
So where was I? Yes, so we need to involve all the users that we are actually serving as well. And what is localization exactly? I just want to talk about the kind of definition so we start on a good base. And according to Schumacher, who wrote and also edited the Handbook of Global User Research, which is also a recommended resource for this in particular, he said that localizations are experiences that demand the experience to be different when introduced to different user communities because of either a language or cultural artifacts. So what this means for user research is that we also need to think about creating localized user research experiences for our user research participants. Sorry, it's frozen. Ah, okay. So, and localization should be the first step, not the last. So we should not start localization with the design. It should start with user research. So if we want to really get the good cultural insights to inform our design, we need to start localizing our user research and get the correct user insights in the first place. So how do we do that? How do we conduct localized user research? I have actually 6 main tips for you to localize your user research. So first of all, and I think also the most obvious, we need to involve our global users. We need to think accessibility of our research and our products in terms of culturally diverse audiences. We need to look beyond limiting our research to our most valuable markets. And as I said, start using certain countries as proxies for others. And what that means is that we need to recruit from all of our different markets. And we can do so starting with the most valuable market, but not stopping there. So we need to expand as much as we can and involve users from many different cultural backgrounds as much as we can. And second of all, we need to understand our global users. And how we can do that, there are quite a lot of theories actually on how best to understand cultural differences. For example, there's cultural dimensions model from Gerd Hofstede, but I really don't want to get into theory now. I can share with you those resources later. I would like to just give you the practical overview. So for me, I believe that there are 3 different things I need to consider when conducting research with people from different cultural backgrounds. First of all is the culture. So we need to consider what are the cultural differences that we are dealing with when it comes to our product. And based on those differences, we can formulate our questions and assumptions so we can examine them in research in research activities. So we also need to actually consider this already while deciding on our research methods, because particularly, for example, in Asian cultures, the methodology must overcome the participants' natural hesitation to talk freely about the subject in question. And secondly, we need to, of course, consider language differences. And this is not just translation. We can consider how linguistic differences could impact how our research is understood and also analyzed. And thirdly, I would say it's behavior. So we need to see and identify the behavior which is embedded in cultural norms and users' interactions. So how the cultural norms impact how our users will use the products. For example, are they used electronic wallets? do they still pay with cash, or do they still use check? So to do that, we can use field studies, diary studies, and competitor analysis, and so that we can identify culturally specific practices that our target audiences may engage in while using our products. And we can work with, and we should work with, local experts. So, that is crucial for us to really plan and conduct culturally appropriate research. So we need to involve as many local experts as we can in our research, who can make sure that our research goes the right way and leads us in the right direction. So the kind of experts you want to work with are local recruiters, for example, who can make sure that you are recruiting the right people, but also arranging things the right way. For example, you need a translator, obviously, but you also need to make sure that the translators know what the research wants to transmit, and it's not just a word-to-word translation, but rather the concepts should be translated. And a local researcher can help you execute and analyze the data in the right way, so that there is no space for mistakes. So coming back to translations, we need to also make sure that the translations are as good as possible. So a word-to-word translation, as I said, is not sufficient. So we need to make sure that our research transmits the intended meaning and the values of the research. So that should start as early as possible, while we are already working on our script and questionnaires, that we work with our translators and involve them early on. We also need to have clear communications with them so that they know what we need out of this research, and so that they can help us actually get what we want. And don't forget about analysis either, because we need to also interpret the user research with someone who can tell us what these things really mean, and see that, because they know what the context is all about. We also need to advocate for this, and this is actually the most challenging, in my opinion, part of researching with global users, because doing great research is never enough. We really need to communicate what we found to our stakeholders, to get their buy-in and create those globalized, localized experiences. And this is actually not just after research. In order to do global research, we also have to have the buy-in of stakeholders in the first place. So that's why I say it's the most challenging part. So in a nutshell, when working with global products, we need to advocate for our users and localize our research. And we can do that by involving our global users, understanding our global users, working with local experts, smoothing out translations, and advocating for localization of our experiences. So I just want to call out to all of you, and just to discuss in the comments, or if you want to come on stage, of course, that's fine for me. I don't know if that's fine for the organizers, but in your experience, what are the most challenging aspects of user research with global experiences? And what do you have? Do you have any tips on how to involve and advocate for global users, or any type of challenges that you're trying to overcome? I really just want to hear about you and your learnings, and also add that to my collection of learnings, basically. And if you want to learn more about this, I really like these two books right there. And there's also a link to a Medium article that contains a lot more resources than I can include here. But hope that got you more interested about conducting user research for global audiences, and happy research. So,
Okay, thank you. So you finished before time, and we have some time for a few questions. I think, Anushka, I will add you on stage as well, since you're hosting this amazing session, and you can unmute yourself and take over from here for your Q&A. Okay, I think you're still muted. So in the meantime, I will just take over. There was
Okay.
one question. If there are any tips for conducting global UX research when you're a solo UX freelancer working on a project? So
yeah, I think that's definitely the most challenging because the resources are crucial that so that we can actually get all the help we need. But if we are solo, um, that what can we do? I think first of all, I mean, like let's start small and progress as much as we can. So even if you can include people who, for example, speak English but like live elsewhere, that's already something. Um, one step that you can take towards getting there, and just involving these users in the first place is, I think, just what we need, regardless of what language they speak. So I would recommend like starting small and including one market at a time, perhaps, and one just going by English, or if you know other languages, then you should of course go for these ones, and like expand from there. Because I think as also a sole UX researcher, then you have also less help and less resources available to you. But I'm sure as the UX community is very open to help, we can always find people to also help us with our research and kind of give that local perspective.
I was thinking one question about one of your slides where you specifically say work with local experts. So I was thinking, okay, but how do you get in contact with the local specialists for recruiting, research, or translation? I mean, yeah, how do you do that?
I think that actually there are some UX design or research agencies that work together. I know that there's one actually, UX Alliance, that does that. They are connected with many different ones that many different agencies in other countries that can help you out. So that can be one way to kind of like get all these local help, just to find that kind of alliances that can lead you in the right direction. But of course, also just checking out any kind of consultancy or agency that provides these type of services would be, I think, a good place to look.
Yeah. So that involves some yeah these resources also it costs money. You have to have the connections. So it's working along the way in finding things out for that, or yeah, are there some bureaus which are specialized in this, for example? Then
You mean like if we don't have the resources, what do we
yeah,
do? It's always a matter of resources, right?
yeah,
It's
okay.
always
It's
tricky.
wrong question.
No,
Wrong
but
question.
but I think, as I said like earlier, I would definitely like go small until you can go bigger. But I think it's that first initiative that you need to take in just even considering doing research with the people that don't speak your native tongue or aren't really like your biggest market is enough, because even big companies don't do that most of the time. So I think even if you can start very small and find people to help you through the internet, or all of these kind of platforms where you can give jobs, like kind of like freelance jobs to people, I think that's already like something. And just be creative. I think that's the kind of thing what that happens when we don't have unlimited resources. Then we have to get creative in what we can do
I see a
to
nice
get what we
tip
want.
already. I see a nice tip already in the comments of translation. So Johannes, you're back on stage with the
Yeah,
reason,
I'm
I
back on
think.
stage. We are almost at the end of hour seven right now. This was really an interesting topic, and I wanted to ask you: are you still available and maybe move to your session so we can copy over? There were a few additional questions added while you were answering the other ones, and you might want to answer them in your session afterwards and discuss with anyone who's interested and wants to follow you before you go back to the main stage, I assume. So
Okay.
thanks again for this great talk. And I will bring up our next two hosts right now and post the link to your session so everyone finds you where you answer the questions on the chat here on the main stage. And Shasa already did that, so we can pin it and you will find it.
Okay, thank you.
Um, so thanks again for the talk, and see you in a minute at or 5 minutes at your session.